I always thought I'd see it coming, the breakdown of a marriage. You know, the yelling, the fights, the dramatic door slams and late-night couch sleepovers. But no. Mine started over grilled chicken and quinoa. She had lit candles. That should have been a red flag right there. We don't do candles unless it's an apology or an anniversary. I thought maybe she was in the mood. Turns out, she was in the mood for a spiritual monologue. "I've been thinking," she said, pushing kale around her plate like it personally offended her. "I need to take a step back from intimacy." I blinked, fork halfway to my mouth. "Step back? Like, for the night?" She gave me a look. That "you're not getting it" look. "No, I mean a real break. I want to take 90 days, a cleanse, from physical stuff, from pressure, from all the expectations. Just 90 days to reconnect with myself." I laughed. Big mistake. She didn't. "I'm serious," she added, her voice calm in that creepy therapist tone. "It's not about you. I just need to realign, recenter." Oh, great. She wasn't just rejecting me. She was doing it with yoga terminology. I should have asked, "And during these 90 days, are you also planning to reconnect with that guy from the gym you always laugh with?" But instead, I swallowed it, nodded like a supportive husband. "Okay, if that's what you need." Because I was stupid, or hopeful, or both. The first couple of days, I played the game, brought her chamomile tea, offered foot rubs, even listened to a podcast about feminine energy flow. Don't ask. She thanked me with a quick peck on the cheek, like I was her Uber driver. I told myself it was just a phase. Women go through things, right? But then she started acting lighter. Not toward me, God forbid, but just glowing. Going to the gym more, staying out later, always on her phone, and smiling. She was smiling at her phone like it was whispering sweet nothings into her soul. "I'm serious," she added, her voice calm in that creepy therapist tone. "It's not about you. I just need to realign, recenter." Oh, great. She wasn't just rejecting me. She was doing it with yoga terminology. I should have asked, "And during these 90 days, are you also planning to reconnect with that guy from the gym you always laugh with?" But instead, I swallowed it, nodded like a supportive husband. "Okay, if that's what you need." Because I was stupid, or hopeful, or both. The first couple of days, I played the game, brought her chamomile tea, offered foot rubs, even listened to a podcast about feminine energy flow. Don't ask. She thanked me with a quick peck on the cheek, like I was her Uber driver. I told myself it was just a phase. Women go through things, right? But then she started acting lighter, not toward me, God forbid, but just glowing. Going to the gym more, staying out later, always on her phone, and smiling. She was smiling at her phone like it was whispering sweet nothings into her soul. A crumpled receipt from the Grove Hotel. One night, 186.72. And the date? Thursday. The same Thursday she told me she and Melissa were doing a detox sauna session. Sauna, huh? Guess that explains the extra towel charge. I stared at that receipt like it was a ransom note for my sanity. My hands were shaking, my heart sinking. That night, she climbed into bed next to me like nothing happened. I laid there, stiff as concrete, her back turned to me like it had been for weeks now. I wanted to ask, I wanted to scream. But instead, I just stared at the ceiling fan, wondering how the hell I became the background character in my own marriage. From that point on, I stopped being her husband and quietly became her private investigator. The kind who smiles at breakfast while logging plate numbers in his mind. The kind who says, "I love you," and then checks if her location matches her story. She didn't notice. Or maybe she did, but underestimated me. To be fair, I spent most of our marriage being the guy who fixes the Wi-Fi and loads the dishwasher alphabetically. Not exactly the threatening type. But this version of me, the one who knew, the one who smiled through gritted teeth, that guy kept receipts. I installed a GPS tracker under her car one night while she was in the shower. Took less than 10 minutes. I also installed a discreet monitoring app on her phone a few days later. Nothing invasive, just enough to show me where she was and when. The gym? She hadn't been there once after 7 p.m. in 2 weeks. Where she had been, however, was a cozy little house about 40 minutes out of town. Same address, same hours, always at night. And always on the nights she said she had deep stretch yoga or women's breathwork circle. If that's what they're calling it these days, sure. The address belonged to a man named Nathan. I found him through social media. He'd tagged her a few times in stories at the gym. Big smile, shaved head, inspirational quote tattoos. The type of guy who calls everyone brother and thinks buying crystals counts as character development. I wasn't surprised. She always had a thing for muscle and attention. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. Something in me needed that final nail. Not just suspicion, not just patterns. Proof. So I waited, watched, planned. And on a Thursday night, when she told me she was going to a guided meditation session with Melissa, I kissed her on the cheek, said, "Have a good time," and waited exactly 15 minutes before getting in my car. I parked a block away from the address I'd seen on the tracker. Lights were on, her car was out front. I turned off my engine and just sat there. Part of me still hoped I was wrong, that this was some insane misunderstanding, that she'd walk out alone, maybe with Melissa, maybe holding a yoga mat, laughing about breathwork or whatever other spiritual jargon she'd picked up this month. But no, an hour passed, 2, and then I saw them. Her silhouette in the front window, his shape behind her, 2 drinks on the table, her laugh, muted by the glass, but unmistakable. He reached out, touched her face. I took photos, not because I needed them, but because I needed to make it real. This was no cleanse. This was no journey of self-discovery. It was a vacation from consequences. The morning after I saw them together felt like some surreal dream I wasn't allowed to wake up from. She was in the kitchen making coffee, humming, smiling like she wasn't just playing house with someone else less than 10 hours ago. She asked how I slept. I said, "Fine." She kissed me on the cheek. I didn't flinch. I had already decided something that night. I wouldn't confront her yet. Not because I was scared, because I wanted her to bury herself with her own lies. You see, once you see the truth, pretending gets easier. You stop searching for meaning in their words. You stop hoping. You just observe and wait. But even though I'd seen enough to know, part of me needed confirmation from someone else. Not just trackers and shadows behind glass. I needed someone who'd look her in the eye and still catch the lie she thought she'd hidden so well. So I called Rick. Rick's a guy I used to train jiu-jitsu with. Good dude, loud laugh, zero filter. The kind of guy who notices everything and forgets nothing. He also happens to go to the same gym as my wife. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. "Hey, listen," I said. "You still hit Flex Zone 3-4 times a week?" "Yup. Why, you trying to get back in shape? Finally realized dad bods are seasonal?" He laughed. "Not exactly. I need a favor. Quiet one." He picked up on my tone quick. That's why I trusted him. "Say less. What am I looking for?" "My wife. You know her. Blonde, yoga fit, works the early evenings. There's a guy I think she's been training with. Shaved head, tattoos, looks like a motivational poster." "Oh yeah, Nathan," he said immediately. Guy yells, "Let's go," during deadlifts. Annoying as hell. "Yeah, him. If you see them together, if anything seems off, just let me know. I need eyes. I need to be sure." "Say no more, brother. You'll know everything I see." The next couple of days dragged like wet cement. At home, she was suddenly softer. She even tried to initiate small affection again, like she'd decided her reconnection journey had finally restored me to her list of interests. I let her hug me. I let her sit close during a Netflix movie. I even let her rest her head on my shoulder. And the whole time, I was watching her like a stranger in my house. Not a wife, just someone pretending to be one. I started noticing the gaps in her lies, like how her gym sessions were killer, but her water bottle was still full. How she said Melissa every time with just a little too much casual flair, like she practiced it in the mirror. My smile? It was rehearsed too. Then, on a Wednesday afternoon, Rick called. Not texted, called. Yo, he said right away. You were right. My stomach twisted, but I kept my voice steady. What happened? I saw them. They weren't even trying to be slick about it. She was supposed to be training some client, but she and Nathan were off to the side, laughing, touching arms, whispering. He grabbed her hand at one point. Anyone else notice? Man, I wouldn't have thought anything of it if I didn't know she was married. They were acting real close, not trainer-client close. More like couple close. Nobody at the gym even blinked. There it was. Out loud. From someone else's mouth. They looked like a couple. Not partners sneaking around. A couple. Thanks, man, I said quietly. You want photos or anything? I can snap next time. Nah, I've got more than enough. Just needed to hear it. That night, I lay in bed beside her while she scrolled Instagram and tagged me in some story. My rock through it all? I watched the glowing screen reflect in her eyes and wondered if guilt ever even touched her, or if she truly believed the spiritual nonsense had rewritten the rules of basic decency. But I didn't say a word. I just turned off the light and kept counting. Day 89. 2 days left. By day 90, I wasn't angry anymore. That was the scary part. Anger would have been simple. A blow-up, a confrontation, a shouted argument in the living room with tears and broken mugs. But no, I was calm, focused, methodical, like a man cleaning his house before a storm. She, on the other hand, was blooming, like a flower fed with someone else's attention. Her hair was always done, her skin glowing, her playlist suddenly filled with empowered woman anthems. She walked around our home with the peace of someone who believed all her lies had been bought and paid for. The irony? She kept saying how light she felt. And I couldn't help thinking, yeah, it's easy to feel light when you drop your conscience. I took the day off work, told her I had a client meeting on the other side of town. She smiled and kissed me goodbye with a lightness that made my stomach turn. Then she left for the gym, probably humming some song she'd later post in a vibes-only Instagram story. Once she was gone, I got to work. First stop, the folder. All my documentation was ready. I'd been collecting for weeks like a man building a case in court. I printed everything, GPS logs, time-stamped screenshots of her location data, photos from outside the house. I even included the message history she'd forgotten to delete from her smartwatch, the one that synced through our shared iCloud before she disabled it. That little oversight earned me a gold mine. One message stood out. You're the only one who sees me. With him, it's like I'm invisible. Funny. I printed that one twice, bolded. Next, I packed her suitcase. Not hers, actually. I'd bought a new one 2 days earlier. Black, durable, unmarked. Clean slate. I filled it with the essentials. Clothes, shoes, charger, toiletries. Not because I wanted her to be comfortable, but because I didn't want her having a reason to come back. I left the suitcase by the door, zipped and standing. Final touch, a small envelope on top of the folder. Inside, the hotel receipt. The very first clue she left behind, a memento, the origin story of her downfall. That night, we had dinner together. She insisted on ordering sushi. To celebrate, she said, eyes glowing across the table. Celebrate what? I asked, sipping my drink. Us, she smiled. We made it through. 90 days. I feel brand new. I nodded. You look it, I said truthfully. She did, just not in a way I admired anymore. We watched a movie. She curled up against me. It was surreal, feeling her touch again after months of distance, and knowing I wasn't keeping her. Not tonight. Not ever again. I almost felt bad for her. Almost. When we went to bed, she tried to get close again. Her hands were soft, her lips warm. She whispered, I miss this. And I let her kiss me, but I didn't kiss back. I pulled away gently, smiling. Let's wait until tomorrow, I said. Let's start fresh. You know, day 91. She grinned, thinking it was sweet, thinking I was still playing her game. But tomorrow? Tomorrow I wasn't playing anymore. I woke up before her. There was something poetic about it. After months of emotional starvation, I was finally the one in control of the morning, the one who knew what the day would bring. She was still curled up under the blanket, breathing softly like nothing in the world could touch her. I let her sleep. I made coffee. I sat at the kitchen table and stared out the window while the steam curled up around my fingers. There was a strange stillness in the air, the kind that settles just before the weather changes. And today, the weather was about to turn. She came into the kitchen wearing one of my shirts, something she hadn't done in a long time. "Morning?" she said sweetly, rubbing her eyes. "Sleep okay?" "Yeah, I feel good actually." She kissed the top of my head and started making toast. Light, humming to herself, her back to me, like we were just a couple who had made it through a rough patch. "Can you believe it's been 90 days?" she said over the sound of the toaster. "Feels like I've gone through a total transformation." "You have," I said. She turned and smiled, not hearing the weight in my voice. "And I think we're ready now, you know, to reconnect, clean slate." I stood up and walked to the counter. "Yeah," I said. "Actually, I have something for you." She tilted her head, surprised. "Oh? What is it?" I reached behind the couch and pulled out the folder, set it gently on the kitchen counter, right beside the butter knife. "What's this?" she asked, still smiling, but the edges of it were already cracking. "It's everything," I said. "The last 3 months, in black and white." She opened it. Silence. The humming stopped. Her eyes flicked down the first page, the message printout, the GPS logs, hotel dates, the photos of her and Nathan at his place, her own words, then the second page, the gym logs, the ones Rick sent me, a screenshot of her tagged by Nathan on his story with a stupid fire emoji, another photo, her laughing, his hand on her thigh. She looked like a woman someone was proud to show off. Pity it wasn't me. I can explain." "Please don't," I said. "We're past that." She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Just breath. Just the echo of a plan falling apart. "You told me you needed time to reconnect with yourself. Turns out that meant reconnecting with a guy who says beast mode unironically." She flinched like I hit her. I didn't yell. I didn't swear. I just stood there, letting the weight of her choices settle in the silence. "You lied to my face for 3 months, slept in my bed after you left his. You kissed me with his sweat probably still on your skin." "It didn't mean anything," she whispered, barely audible. "You're right," I said, stepping back. "To him, it probably didn't." I nodded toward the door. The suitcase was waiting. "It's packed, everything you'll need to keep transforming." Her face crumpled. Tears welled up. Real ones? Maybe. Maybe not. Too late to matter. "Please don't do this. We can fix it." "You already did," I said, walking past her. "You fixed everything. I finally see you clearly." I picked up my keys, paused at the door. "I gave you 90 days. You spent them becoming someone I can't respect. And on day 91, I'm giving myself a gift." She looked up, desperate. "What?" "Freedom." The first night alone felt strange, not painful, not dramatic, just quiet. No hum from her hair straightener in the bathroom, no fake laughter echoing from her TikTok scrolls, no tension hanging between the lines of basic conversations, just silence. And for the first time in a long time, I liked it. I didn't block her number. I didn't need to. She messaged me twice. The first one came an hour after I left. "I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you." The second one arrived the next morning. "Can we please talk?" I was confused. I made a mistake. I didn't respond. not out of spite, just because there was nothing left to say. She had 90 days to talk to me, 90 days to tell the truth. And instead, she used them to master the art of lying with a straight face. People always say the real heartbreak comes later, in the empty house, in the absence. But not for me. For me, the heartbreak had already been happening, quietly, slowly, like a rope tightening around the neck of a man too loyal to notice. When she left, it didn't feel like I lost a wife. It felt like I took off a mask. I spent the first 2 weeks rebuilding small things, changed the sheets, got rid of her half of the closet, threw away the essential oils and yoga bricks like they were cursed relics from a temple of delusion. Then I called movers. I switched apartments, new place, hardwood floors, open windows, no ghosts. I started waking up early again, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. Hit the gym, drank coffee on the balcony, talked to people, real conversations, not filtered through mantras and fake positivity, just real, messy, honest words. 3 weeks later, I heard through a mutual friend that Nathan had already moved on. Apparently, she tried to confront him about what they had, and he ghosted her. Classic. She posted a quote on Instagram. "Sometimes growth is painful, but necessary." Sure, sometimes betrayal is also painful, but necessary. Thanks for the lesson, sweetheart. Now? It's been 4 months. I laugh more, breathe deeper. The tightness in my chest is gone. I still sleep diagonally. Guess that's one habit I'm keeping. And I don't regret anything. Not trusting her at first, not investigating, not walking away. Because I finally understood something. When someone weaponizes your patience, your kindness, and your loyalty, the only thing left to give them is your absence. And on day 91, that's exactly what I gave her. Wrapped in silence, tied with freedom, and delivered with one hell of a door click.